welcome to The Healing Artist. I'm your host, Freda. It is 4 a.m. in California. I looked at my schedule last night and I was like, I want to make a podcast, but if I'm going to do it, I gotta get up early. Friends, I am delighted to be with you on this Frequency Friday, where we channel with my guidance, Elisabeth. Summers are always really busy for me. How about you? I feel like it's a wild whirlwind. There's usually a lot of travel. Where our beautiful intuitive gifts really happen, where we have the expansiveness of being able to drop into the all that is, comes from slowness. It comes from the ability to be soft and moving slowly in the world, to be able to do the yoga, to do the meditation practice, to get out in the woods and take the walk, to go swimming, take a nap. The information and the understanding, the knowingness, it comes in the slowing down. And I notice that when I'm busy like this, sometimes it's not as easy to be connected. So I recognize that. I recognize what I've done to my calendar. And I want to make a conscious effort to take the time within the day to make the time to slow down, because it is incredibly important. Now, the meditation practice that I do is in the mornings, and I just sit my butt down and I meditate. No ifs, ands, or buts. You just do it. Wake up, have a first cup of coffee, and then I sit there and do my practice. Those have gotten shorter and shorter. Not going to lie to you. Can we forgive ourselves? Can we meet ourselves where we are with what's going on in our lives? Sometimes there's seasons of busy, 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 and sometimes there's seasons of slow. Can we meet ourselves, loving ourselves, knowing that time and energies and the movements that we make in the world are cyclical in nature? They do change, ebb and flow. So this morning I want to ask Elisabeth, we're going to drop into the channel here, and I want to ask Elisabeth, I want to continue with forgiveness. I was channeling about forgiveness last week, and I want to know more. How do we, very directly, how can we forgive ourselves when we are unable to perform or keep up with the schedule, or when we're feeling out of alignment by holding ourselves to a rigid schedule? How do we move with the cyclical flow of nature? Because that's so important. That is the new earth reality. It is allowing the season to dictate the movement. So when the season is dictating the movement, how does that reflect then to our outside world in our abilities to still perform the same tasks on the same schedule? And let's see what she has to say. Because maybe the answer is it's cyclical in nature and you don't do things year round. I don't know. This definitely falls into the question of how to be a human on Earth. All right, friends, I'm going to go ahead and drop out, and let's see what Elisabeth has to say. Freda, we have to chuckle. You are obsessed with the downfall of the patriarchy. You are obsessed with the crumbling of the patriarchy within American society. You are obsessed with the idea of women stepping forward, the divine feminine coming to her position and place in the world, being honest about things, living into the cycles, moving with the unfolding to be the unfolding rose. It is your primary focus and interest. And yet, we would point to the fact that this is one of the things that you work with. It is the as your new friend would call it, patriarchal encodement that is running through your system, there is a desire to do more. You say, I will have 200 podcasts by the end of the year. It is the thing that it is my goal. You say to yourself, this is my goal. And then I will understand podcasting. And we say to you, Freda, you already understand podcasting right now. Can you allow yourself to be busy when you're busy? Can you allow yourself to move in the cycle and flow of exactly where you are in life? You hold yourselves to unbelievable high standards. You say, this is the goal. This is the dream. This is the thing that brings me the most joy, and so I will do it. Yes, we say to you, absolutely, but at what cost? At what quality? We would ask for you to make sure that you are still taking care of yourself in a way where you are resting, where you are walking, where you are swimming. There is a level of so much go, and doing for others at this moment in time, at this month, at this cycle, that you have lost sight of your true north. And your true north is to get right with you on your insides. You say, I have started a spiritual business. You say, I have started a spiritual business and the people are not coming to the spiritual business. The numbers are not there. So you seek external revenue from other sources, and we say we understand. And simultaneously, that is the patriarchal encodement running through your system and telling you that you must perform at all times. There are situations in your life that have told you must step up to the plate and you must perform to all ends for one specific end, and that specific end is money. When that is a only goal, it shifts because it is bastardized. It is not the thing that you are the most interested in. It just simply is the call of the moment. But the call of the moment is from anxiety from others. It is not of your true north. So you step up to the plate, you take all of the gig work, you do all of the jobs, and you say, look, I have done it. I have made the number. And when you do this, however, it is disconnecting you from the true nature of who you are. Because who you are is a being made of light and love. We understand that you have said yes to more projects than you feel comfortable with. In the process of saying yes to those projects, you have said no to the things that you have been doing that actually are of your soul. You had to step away from your mastermind group in order to continue to work Wednesdays. You say, I will now work Wednesdays, and that takes you away from the mastermind group in which you were enjoying yourself. So you see how you have made sacrifices that came at the detriment of the things that light you up. You love your UUCB. You look at your calendar and you say, yes, I will meet with you during the time on Sunday when UUCB is in session. You say, yes, I will record this podcast episode when you should be at UUCB, because being at UUCB is the thing that makes you happy. So you have taken the goal, you have taken the I want this number, which is entirely of your own making. You may always scratch out numbers on your calendar and you may always adjust. When you do these things, when you push yourself, when you say, I must hold myself to rigid accountability, we would ask for you to find the frustration within that and to step back and let it go. Advice that you give your students, advice that you give your family is to let go of the rope. If you're in a tug of war, sometimes the appropriate answer to solving why is it hurting so much, I am raging against pulling so hard, ruining your hands, let it go. Let go of this notion of worth and value comes after 200 podcast episodes. Let go of this notion of, if I do this number of interviews, I'll get better at interviewing people. Freda, you already are good at interviewing people. How much more do you need? That is the patriarchal encodement. That is America that is running through your blood. For to keep yourself busy, you are not keeping yourself connected. Connect with nature. Connect with the all that is. It is a joke you make. The joke you make is, if I die tonight, I have done enough. You joke. It's true. Freda, we would tell you that if you never worked another day in your life, you have done enough. Can you believe it? Can you allow yourself to have worth and value simply for being yourself right now in this place? It is what you teach. It is what you need to completely and totally, fully embody. You say to yourself, I have not done enough. I have not done enough. If I did enough, the people would come. And where are the people? Freda, what if it was all for you? What if everything you do is for you? What if this means of doing it so open and vulnerably for the people is just simply the way that you best open yourself up to being you? What if this is the method that you have chosen in order to come forward and learn the most about yourself in a way where you share? We tell you, Freda, you grew up in art museums reading the name of artists on walls. At some point you shifted. You said, I do not want to be an artist forever chasing gallery exhibition. That is not what I want. And you shifted into, I want to share this healing journey with others. You can be an artist. You can share your healing journey. You can be the piece of art. There is a level of performance, a level of performance art. You create performance art. And you kind of giggle and you say, can I create art of myself, understanding myself, in which it is not performance, and yet it is the shedding. It is the shedding of the performance. What if the shedding of the performance is doing less? What if the shedding of the performance is just being? You ask yourself, can I forgive myself? And Freda, we say to you, yes. You say, can I forgive myself? How do I forgive myself? Freda, we say to you to go into the center of the wound that makes you feel like you are not good enough unless you do. That is the work. Please, can you make this shift to understand? For all you need to do is show up in your brilliance, shining your light, and just be. You do not need to do anything. You are doing your work. In doing your work, you are being the work. To be the work in the world is to show the work in action. To be the work is to have the work shine through in such a fashion that the people see the work and they say, I can do that. They say, I am willing to do that. She did that. I am willing to do that. And even if they do not have a cognitive understanding of what that might be, the frequency is there, for you carry the frequency of doing the work. And the frequency of the work is holding the new earth frequency of a higher vibrational consciousness. Some people call this the 5D. We understand what the people are saying. This does not resonate with us because it begins to have some form of hierarchy. People think that it is better to be in the 5D than the 3D, and we say that is not the case. One might be preferable, but there is not a hierarchy of better or best. So we do not like this language. We do not like the language. And yet at the same time, it is what the collective has agreed upon, and so it is the language that we shall use. When you resonate at a higher frequency, it is easier for you to just live in the magic and miracles of the world. You walk around creating your own heaven on earth. And then you say to yourself, what would it be like to dip back down into doing more things? What would it be to dip back down into following the codependent encodement, the following what people in your life need in order to create safety? Then you will show up and you will do more than your part to create safety in the following ways. You will exert yourself. You will take away from your psychic gifts in order to give to the physical labor of making a certain specific thing, money. Freda, this isn't an easy journey. It is one of your biggest hiccups in life, and we would tell you that you will have some freedom coming up here. There will be some freedom on the horizon, but this is simply the working point, the forgiveness, self-forgiveness. It is the working point of where you're at now. It is the focus of your teachings, and it is the focus of where your interests lie. Can you still find the freedom, softness, and ability to return to nature to find yourself and your grounding in the chaos of your own making that you created on your calendar? And if you do not record a podcast, if you do not adhere to the numbers that you have placed on your calendar, which are completely and totally of your own making, they are just simply something that you decided you were going to do, and then you hold yourself to this strict, rigid standard. If you miss an episode, take a breath and let yourself be forgiven. For Freda, in the grand scheme of things, we appreciate your willingness to show up and practice. But we say to you, you have already gotten the A+ and you have achieved the goal. What else is it that you think that you will receive or do in the consistency that you are putting out? The people forgive you. Can you forgive yourself? And this is what we have for you today. All right, my friends. There was a lot of giggling. I get sometimes I channel, that was definitely a personal channel. I do really get wrapped up in rigidity sometimes. I'll give myself a goal and then I stick to it. My ability to finish things, that is an aspect of my personality that I really actually pride myself on. So it's interesting. We are in eclipse season. It's a little bit of an uncomfortable eclipse. There's a lot of things coming up that are just sort of pointing to areas in life that are no longer working, and it's time to let them go and fall. And the shedding process is always of interest. I love it, but it is not the easiest. So one of the shedding things that I personally will be working on is my strict, rigid standards that I hold myself to, and how I recognize the fact that I put myself into yet again another proving situation with work. There is I would love my business to take off, and I just still don't understand marketing or how people can find me. I make this podcast and I'm here I am, but I can't seem to get any traction at this point. So I'm not exactly sure. There's something here that I'm not getting. And I keep thinking when the time is right, it'll just take off, because I certainly know how to put the work in. And I'm going to be very open to learning about what that all is. But, I am half of a family and I do need to support myself. So, and my husband and the mortgage, and there's many, many things. So, if you've ever wanted to have a session with me, if I'm helpful to you in any way, I have donation-based Elisabeth channeling sessions on my website. Resources are necessary to continue to do and be all of the things that I am and what I bring forward into the world. I have so much free content, and I do it because I absolutely love it, as you can obviously tell. And simultaneously, there is a level of trying to get a business going here. So in order to bring to you all of the free stuff, if you're compelled to, go visit my website, fredahealing.com, and see if there is any offerings that I have that would be of interest to you. Again, donation-based Elisabeth channeling sessions. I am an artist. I'm an illustrator. I do pet portraiture. I illustrate books. I just finished a cover of a book, which I'm really excited to share with you in the future when it comes out. All right, my loves. That's what we got. I love you. God, universe, source loves you. And I hope that you have a wonderful day.